Picture this. You're building a back-end system, and suddenly you are staring down one of the most classic yet notoriously tricky challenges in all of computer science. You need to find the absolute best, cheapest route from one single starting point to literally everywhere else in your system. It sounds incredibly simple, right? But as we're going to see in this explainer, the routing algorithms we choose will either make your system lightning fast or completely break it.
And this isn't just some abstract math puzzle you leave behind in a college dorm. GPS navigation, network routing protocols, global logistics, robotic pathfinding, they all face this exact same problem every single second. In computer science, we call this the single source shortest path, or SSSP. You have a starting vertex, and you need the absolute minimum total cost to reach every other vertex in your network. That cost? It could be physical distance, travel time, money, or network latency. Today, we're going to break down 3 distinct algorithmic methods for solving this and point out the massive traps you have to avoid along the way.
To really understand this, we have to start with a true legend, Edgar Dijkstra. His contribution to IT and modern computing is just staggering. He was a brilliant Dutch computer scientist who famously conceived his shortest path algorithm in 1959. And get this, he figured it out after just 20 minutes of thought while sitting at a cafe. 20 minutes! And it still remains one of the most foundational, widely used algorithms in the history of software engineering.
Now, the core engine that makes Dijkstra's algorithm actually work is a beautifully simple concept called relaxation. Think of it like this. Let's say you're traveling and you know a specific route that costs you $50. But then someone taps you on the shoulder and shows you a detour that only costs $30. You'd update your plans, right? That is relaxation. If your currently known distance to a destination is suddenly undercut by a cheaper path you just discovered, you update it. You relax the edge.
So how does the algorithm actually navigate the data? It uses 4 very straightforward, greedy steps. First, it grabs the unvisited vertex with the smallest known distance. Second, it locks it in by marking it as visited. Third, it relaxes all of that vertex's outgoing edges to see if there are cheaper paths to its neighbors. And fourth, it just repeats that loop. The absolutely critical thing to understand here is that Dijkstra's algorithm is entirely greedy. It makes the absolute best local decision at that exact moment, locks it in, and never ever looks back.
Okay, let's take this theory and move it into the backend. To build this in a real project, you're going to need 4 pieces of internal architecture. First, an adjacency list. This holds your graph in memory way more efficiently than a giant matrix. Second, a distance array, to keep track of those shortest costs we talked about. Third, a parent array. Do not skip this. It preserves exactly where we came from, which is the only way you can reconstruct the actual route later. And finally, a min-heap priority queue, which lets us instantly grab the next cheapest vertex without constantly scanning the whole graph. When you actually write out the logic, say in Python, it's remarkably elegant. You push your start node into the heap, and then just continuously pop out the cheapest candidate. A vital detail to handle here is checking for stale heap entries. If a popped distance doesn't match your known shortest distance, you just skip it. Then, iterate through the neighbors, relax the edges, and if you find a cheaper route, update your distance, update that parent array, and push the new, better cost right back into the heap.
Because of that min-heap and the adjacency list combo, Dijkstra's algorithm runs at a blistering speed. We are talking a time complexity of big O of E log V, where E is edges and V is vertices. It is remarkably efficient. This speed is exactly why it powers so much of our modern digital infrastructure. But there is a trap. A really big one. What happens if just one of the costs on your graph is a negative number? Maybe it's a financial transaction where you actually earn a rebate, or some highly specialized network metric. Well, it turns out that if you feed a negative number into Dijkstra's algorithm, this universally trusted, hyper-fast piece of code completely falls apart.
Let's break down exactly why it fails. Imagine you want to go from node A to node B. Path 1 goes directly from A to B and it costs 5. Path 2 goes from A to C for a cost of 6, and then from C to B for a cost of -3. The true, mathematically cheapest path is A to C to B, right? The total is 3. But Dijkstra looks at the starting options, a 5 or a 6. Because it's greedy, it immediately grabs the 5, locks in B, and marks it finished forever. It completely misses the cheaper route. And that leads us to a massive realization. Dijkstra's greed is its greatest superpower. It's what makes it so fast. But that exact same greed relies on a strict, unbreakable assumption that traveling further into a graph can only ever increase your total cost. The second you introduce a negative edge, that assumption is completely destroyed. So, what do?
When your data contains negative weights, you have to throw Dijkstra out the window. You need a more robust generalist. That brings us to our second method for finding shortest paths, the Bellman-Ford algorithm. Bellman-Ford totally abandons the greedy approach. Instead of trying to cleverly pick one best vertex at a time, it just brute forces it. It systematically relaxes every single edge in the entire graph over and over again, exactly v-1 times. Yes, it's slower. It runs at big O of v times e. But it is bulletproof. Not only does it handle negative weights effortlessly, but it also detects negative cycles. That's a catastrophic loop in your data that continually reduces your cost toward negative infinity, which actually makes finding a shortest path logically impossible.
But hey, what if you really need to handle negative weights, but you absolutely cannot afford to sacrifice speed? Well, you might be in luck, which brings us to our third method. It's a highly specialized approach that only works if your data forms a directed acyclic graph, or a DAG. That means your network connections only flow in one direction, and there are absolutely zero loops or cycles.
Because a DAG has no cycles to trap you, you can do something called a topological sort. You basically arrange all your vertices in a straight line where every single edge points forward. Once they're sorted, you literally just walk down the line from left to right and relax each vertex exactly one time. That's it. It achieves a staggering time complexity of big O of v plus e. It is lightning fast, and because the strict topological order guarantees you never look back, negative weights are handled perfectly.
Okay, so let's pivot for a second and talk about performance optimization out in the wild. We mentioned earlier that using a min-heap priority queue is what makes Dijkstra so fast, but I want to challenge that. Is a complex, quote-unquote, advanced data structure actually always the best choice for your backend?
Actually, no. Graph density changes absolutely everything. If your graph is sparse, sure, the min-heap is king. But if your graph is incredibly dense, where almost every node connects to every other node, the overhead of managing a heap will actually slow you down. In that case, ditching the heap for a completely basic, simple array is faster, running an O of e squared. And it gets even crazier. If your edge weights are strictly just zeros and ones, you can use a 0-1 BFS with a simple double-ended queue to get O of v plus e. The lesson here? More complex is definitely not automatically better.
Understanding all these nuances is absolutely vital because the application of these specific pathfinding methods in real projects is everywhere. It is the backbone of modern tech. Google Maps uses these principles to reroute you around traffic. Core internet routers use the OSPF protocol to dynamically find the shortest path for your data packets. Flight agenda schedulers, automated drone navigation, social network handshakes, they all rely on engineers deeply understanding the shape of their data and picking the exact right shortest path algorithm for the job. And yet, despite how critical this is, we see engineers fall into the same traps over and over. Here are the biggest ones you need to avoid. Blindly throwing Dijkstra at a graph with negative weights, completely failing to check for negative cycles, which will literally cause infinite loops in your production environment, using a massive memory-hogging adjacency matrix for a sparse graph, assuming a min-heap is magically always the fastest option, and of course, the ultimate developer facepalm, forgetting to implement a parent array, meaning your beautifully optimized code finds the exact minimum distance, but completely forgets the route it took to get there.
So, bringing it all together, what's the real takeaway here? Single source shortest path is never, ever just import Dijkstra from a library and call it a day. It requires real architectural thought. Are there negative weights? Could there be cycles? Would a simpler array actually run faster than a heap? The next time you sit down to write routing logic, ask yourself, are you just blindly trusting a famous algorithm, or do you truly understand the exact shape of your data?